Well, here we are to do it all over again. The Ultimate Masters tournament is back here at Velocity Esports Racing, but we've got to decide who's going to be part of this amazing championship. It is myself, James Otter, alongside Adam Reed here tonight. Our friend Jake Sperry, of course, over down in Grove for the other Tournament of Creator Series. So my GT3 Bud E, if you will. We're here for Season 5 and what is going to be no doubt an incredibly intense qualifying session ahead of us. We are going to be heading in for what will be, well, let's be candid, a really, really great set of events here because we're going to go straight into Lobby 1 in just a few short moments. We've got 3 teams all wanting to join ET8, of course, as the reigning champions here. And straight away out of the blocks, Shazoo Cedar Igniters, a team with so much pedigree, should be a firm favourite for this particular qualifier. But they've got to qualify, and any mistake could count here in Bahrain.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be so interesting. These qualifiers, throw up so many different kind of surprises. Of course, this is probably the first potential full season of the Velocity Ultimate Masters are going to be on. I did a cover event at Spa. That's kind of the only kind of feat I had on this one. So it's definitely going to be a big experience, and these guys will for sure be trying to really look to see if they can potentially just etch something into this one. We start off the qualifiers here at Melbourne, and then going into the new year, we'll do Silverstone reverse as our first round before heading to Barcelona and Spielberg, taking ourselves through some of the iconic European circuits, followed by Spa, followed by Imola. Then we have transfer week, where we'll see some driver changes happening throughout some of the elected teams that get into this championship. Then we head over to Asia for Shanghai and Suzuka. We're then heading to North America for Montreal and Texas, with Losail rounding out the season under the night sky, who will be the Kings at the end of this one. Of course, ET8 already secured through. They've auto qualified, and now they're just trying to find their challengers as they look to defend the championship for a 3rd time in a row.
Of course, over the next 10 weeks, they'll be competing for a very strong prize distribution here. €500 if you manage to win this tournament. 250 if you come third, right bang in the middle in second. €350 all the way down to even €30. So you get your money back if you finish it in 9th place. And of course, nothing for finishing in last. And of course, this is all because of our friends over at Hyundai Intercomp, Level Academy, Brand Garage, Monster Energy, and The Specialist. Thank you very much for all of their efforts towards this amazing team tournament, of course, over in Formula One. Velocity Esports, of course, hoping to bring these guys in for this particular lobby, because we head over to Lobby A in just a few short moments. The Angry Sharks Racing Team, ASRT. Very much a mixed bag team, that one. You've got some really quick drivers that can potentially shock the field, but the difference between driver A and B could be quite critical, and that may pose a bit of a challenge when you get into qualifying. VMV Esports as well, always going to be ones to be knocking on the door, but the Shazoo Cedar Igniters, of course, Legacy Division winners last time out as well this week, so they have got a lot of form going into this particular event, of course, who want to try and put ET8 under a bit of pressure. They are actually very fierce rivals within the esports sphere. In Lobby B, we do have a bunch of teams, but XPG not taking part. They've pulled out of this tournament. So Ventauri, Future Racing Team, International Racing Team, and of course the Race Speed Championship, Alien Motorsport, and AMR Esports taking part. That will be in about half an hour's time before we take over to Lobby C, where we've got Tatum Race Tech. I think it's a misspelling there. We've got Team TF10, Evolution Racing, All Elite Racing, Brava Racing Club, and Formula One Academy de France. So should be in for an absolute cracker of an event ahead of us in just a few short moments time. One thing we do want to go though here, Adam, is of course the infographic, because we are here in Bahrain for this particular event. In fact, we are not at Bahrain, we're at Australia apparently. I've got my all my things wrong, but either way, Sergio on a hot lap around Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Sergio Leo's was absolutely brilliant last season. Absolutely. One of the drivers right on top of everything. So, ET8 are definitely going to be fast, right? But let's have a look at that track map. 14 corners Apparently this is 16, but there I can guarantee there are 14. 5.2 kilometers. Not a lot of elevation on this circuit, with the 115.8 being the expected time. It's a very, very tight street circuit as well, but going to be plenty of overtaking opportunities. Just got to take them wisely for sure. And it's all about risking this one, I think, because there's the big qualifiers on the line, and it's not like it's at the start of the season. This is something that you're qualifying for the big event for. How much risk are these drivers going to take all throughout this one?
Yes, that is going to be the critical one as well, of course. So the 16 turns, the 2.6 sort of meters of elevation change, quite a flat circuit as Australia. But of course, ET8 themselves have got a point to prove. Now, in other tournaments, they have also shown that they can flex the muscle that they've got, have the Spanish outfit. But the critical thing for ET8 is whether they can carry the form of those other tournaments and not let the likes of Legacy Division, one of the biggest tournaments as well, team tournaments in this esports sphere, potentially knock them down a peg because they lost a lot of form. So this is a clean slate for them, a real opportunity to earn big time on this one as well. So lobby's just about to get going. We should be in for an absolute cracker of an event in just a few short moments time. We'll be back after this short break for a very, very intense qualifier. Don't go away. So, 3 teams taking part in this one. A bit of a tank slapper there from Inwa, managing to hold on to that one. We are live here in Australia for what will be the first of 3 qualifying events for the Ultimate Masters Tournament. Who are going to be the 9 teams that join the likes of ET8 for this particular event? We have the following 3 teams taking part in this one. The Angry Sharks racing team here tonight. You'll be seeing them as ASRT in the McLaren. That's Chiquita and Fedimori getting on the way. Shazoo Cedar Igniters, they're in the Alpine. Valakongan and David Banz, as Valakongan coming across the line here as well. David Banz actually taking the trip over from FRT, so a very, very big name from FRT dropping to SCI in the raising rather to SCI in this particular event. And of course, there are the VMV esports team themselves, Inwa and Giovanni in the Red Bulls. Here comes Fed Mori as he comes across the line, and initially out of the blocks 14-8, 14-6, 14-8, 14-9, 15-0, and another 15-0. Where's Giovanni when he comes across the line? An invalid lap at the moment. So first initial lap times across the board. No surprises. The favourites, SCI, looking particularly strong.
Yeah, indeed. That will be, that will be one of those where it's just going to be a builder lap. If you invalidate now, you've only just got put a little bit more pressure on yourself. But yeah, like looking at the 114.6 is there, I think that will be really, really promising. But I think it may need a little bit more, maybe a 114.6 to maybe be able to put it onto pole position. So it does look like it's going to be a strong start then for the SCI team, the Shazoo Cedars Igniters. Looking really promising. They've got a little bit of pedigree in this championship of the Velocity Ultimate Masters, but into the pits they come now. So, that's their first runs done. and then look to try and potentially get a second one in. I think that would be crucial for Giovanni of the VMV team, as he really hopes to try and put himself into a little bit of a better idea of where he potentially be. So yeah, maybe 6 drivers in here, but that just kind of ups the stakes a little bit more. One little mistake and you could be finding yourself in a really, really difficult position. As it looks like Giovanni has gone and put himself into a time. It's only a 150.1, but bearing in mind that the car has already done a singular lap on those soft tyres, so they'll be slightly worn compared to the others around him. So there's probably another, 2 tenths in it, maybe 3 tenths if you're really pushing hard enough. But yeah, you could definitely steal a third place, but it does look like it's a little bit of a wobbly moment here for VMV. They currently sit fourth and sixth.
Yeah, not too bad at the moment for SCI, though. Of course, that's 14.6 and a 14.8, putting them, as I said, within firm position. But I did mention this about ASRT, though. One driver into the 14s, the other driver just on the brink of the 14s. But, when you're talking about a team's championship, every hundredth of a second is going to count if you want to be part of this championship and be part of that big prize pool at the end of this tournament. So it's fairly critical that they make some inroads as quickly as they possibly can. And initially here, we've got people going straight out for another set of outlaps, which means Giovanni for Vumv is actually just a little bit out of sequence now with everyone else. Valakongan will be leading the way here. Hopefully we could go on board with him. There he is, perfectly there from the direct. Absolutely nailed it. He's heading his way now through the right-hander here, and then, of course, down this back straight, which was at one point that initial little chicane before going on the back straight, but now, of course, now a free-flowing straight, not straight, if you will, before going into the quick left and right-hander. Valakongan, a really up and down season for Valakongan. The last game cycle for him was definitely where he was shining. This one, not so much, but the experience of him, SCI wanted to vouch upon, and to partner him with David, of course, a man who comes from FRT and rises to SCI. He's sort of an upcoming driver, is David, but the serious pace that he carried at FRT, clearly inspired the Shizu Cedar Igniters to take him on board and carrying him into this championship.
Yeah, indeed. There's so much so much to this event. So I really can see that really coming on strong here. You see Volokongan really attacking turn one and two here of Australia, and I wonder how quick that's going to be looking as they head their way in towards the first sector. It gets the car rotated, but I don't think we're going to get the split until the exit of turn number 5. Look at the car just getting a little bit over rotated, but Folakonga is managing to kind of work with it as he heads in towards that first sector. He's a little bit down at the moment. I think he's going to get a track extension here, and in fact he does. That's not looking too good there for the Alpine driver, but he still puts himself into second place here behind his teammate. It's just the two McLarens and maybe the Red Bull that you need to be worried about VMV and ASRT.
Yeah, just keeping an eye out on Inwar at the moment, looking to try and get to the 14s. Very well crafted, actually, going through that right-hander of turn 10. He'll want to try and really keep as close as he can to this outside line. Don't mount that curb too much, but on this one, you can take a lot of that curb. It might feel a little bit rough, but you do get the traction through here. Then chucking the car through the right-hander and then chucking the car through this final couple of corners. Here's turn 13 and turn number 14. Now, the Red Bull, generally should be relatively decent. Of course, it is equal cost, but they're not necessarily equal. And Inwar does manage to get into the 114s, actually beating both of the ASRT drivers. Volakongan dives into the pit lane. He's had enough of that one. Giovanni just getting started with his outlap on this one. So it's Fed Mori we're going to keep an eye on here. Jakita, his teammate, actually staying in the pit lane for this run here. So not looking particularly like he's interested in the second run of form. But it does give him an extra set of tyres if he does feel uncomfortable. But he will be out of sync with everyone else. Fed Mori comes across the line, and there we go. That's a bit more unlike what we see from ASRT. Both of the drivers now hugging each other, only 6 thousandths of a second separating the pair of them. Exactly what you need in a qualifier like this one.
Yeah, indeed. You really need to be you need to be right on top of your game here in this qualifying session. So it looks like for the two SCI cars, they're pretty much done and dusted for their second run. So they're going to be making their way into the pits again. Giovanni He's really starting to push the limits now. Oh, the
Oh,
car
there
is
he
gone. He
goes.
ran. He's hit the wall. Oh, that's going to be unfortunate there. I think he's just managed to survive the damage. But, it's so unfortunate because he was purple in that second sector, but there is going to be a little bit of confidence growing there for Giovanni. If you can just notice that and just carry that in his last sector, in his last run, I should apologize. There's a big opportunity that he can go out there and push as hard as he possibly can to maybe put in a good result because now the gaps are starting to close here and they're just on the fringes now. So he head into the pit lane and just reset himself for the last lap of this session. Meanwhile, we just see there the Angry Sharks racing team are about to head, I believe, into pit lane, and they do. So Ferry Mori is now going to be just heading into the box as the Alpines now head out for what I assume will be their final runs up today.
Potentially, I think they might have another opportunity here if they manages to get a decent time in. We'll have to see here as Volakongan on the outlet 1:14.861. His teammate a little bit further back on the circuit. Actually, he's got Chiquita following him at the moment, so he doesn't want to leave it too slow because otherwise he's actually going to give a lovely little tow actually to the Angry Sharks racing drivers. Dino chucks the car now through the final couple of corners of the third sector. We're going to get going here with what is going to be hopefully another Volakongan masterclass here because he's usually a driver that's really on it, is the number 24 SCI driver. As hopefully we'll go on board, I'm going to hand this back over to Adam to give us a lap around Australia because this is just such a free-flowing circuit, isn't it?
It really is. Just have a look down in towards turn number one. You're really going to brake as hard as you possibly can at the 100-meter board. Get the car turned in. As long as it rotates, you should be really good with that setup. Now on the exit, we're trying to just get the car now in towards a straight line as you head your way in towards turn number three. Just let the car in after just that little bit, get that initial rotation. As you head your way now in towards four, on towards five, completely flat. Just avoid the wall on the left-hand side, and you should be good as gold. On towards that first split, and it's 16 milliseconds off. So he's now just trying to find his way through turn number 8 and on towards the lakeside drive. And you power your way 8th gear, DRS open. You're going to be banging off the limiter as you head your way in towards 9. What's the Bravely looking like? Down towards the left-hander, down to 7. Keeping the revs up as well. Managed to do a little bit of a cut there, but managed to stay within track limits as well. Now we're looking pretty positive here with Volakongan in toward the right-hander, taking a little bit of curve there. That was nice and sweet on the exit of 11. Use the curve there. Keep it on middle kind of revs as well. Really dancing the car through the sequence of corners. And you're just trying to load up the tyres. So you now start to spin your way on the exit turn number 14 and you'll sprint your way towards the line. This looks like it's going to be an even better lap. The 1:14.7, a tenth faster, but not quite the same as his teammate. And Chiquita will now go over the line. He goes P3, just a tenth less. Well, that's exactly a tenth shy.
Yeah, not too bad at the moment as well. Here comes David as he comes across the line even faster. Absolutely blistering at the moment here from David as he's looking even stronger at the moment. Looks like we're actually going to be breaching into the 29.2s at the moment for SCI, which would be absolutely amazing for them as we've just got Fedamori coming across the line to get started with his lap. This is looking very good indeed. A little bit of a snap of oversteer there from Fedamori. He actually has an opportunity if he wants to dive into the pit lane at the end of this lap. I personally would if that first sector has got anything to go by, but look, the bottom line is that he's going to try and maximise everything that he can, try and find the track limits on this lap, and then come into the pits, get a fresh set of boots on and have another go at this one. As it stands so far, though, it's really looking like that SCI are just putting a little bit of breath between themselves and the rest of the qualifiers in this event.
Yeah, indeed. It just seemed like, SCI have very much got that little bit of breathing space. It's everyone apart from Giovanni are in the 1:14s, but they've just got that slight edge about them. They've got that pedigree. They've got that speed they're showing, and it's really coming together. They've had so many days of training with the team. They've really tried to just get the setup, get the kind of get the cars all together, and now you're just finding some of these guys are really being able to push the limit. Fede Mori will now come across the line as well, and what could be his final run as he heads his way over the timing, being 4 minutes left to go in the session. He goes second and splits the two Shazoo Cedar's Igniters team, and that could be a big moment in this one because that now shows how quick the Angry Sharks racing team are. And I really do think that could be very much game-changing. So the qualifying will happen in the race. That's where they'll be able to go through. But still, this is still a very, very crucial stage. 3.5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, should be an absolute belter here for ASRT, because that one's knocked them from 29.8 to 29.5 overall in this qualifier, which actually only puts them just a little bit under 0.2 of a second behind the SCI team here. So actually, ASRT will be quite confident now as a result of Fedmori getting in there. Just needs Chiquita to get into the 14.7s, and actually they may feel comfortable of a potential qualifying spot here, because with it only being within that touching distance here of SCI is going to be very good for them indeed. So here comes Giovanni then into the pit lane. He's got 2 and a bit minutes to go. He's going to have to rush in and rush out here at this rate, because we have got people just getting started now with their out laps here, and that is Volakongan just leaving the pit lane. His Giovanni's teammate Inwar also just leaving the pit lane as well. So last laps here now of this particular qualifying session. He can get 3 runs here at Australia pretty clearly, perhaps 4 as well, if you get everything right. Volakongan, a little bit of a point to prove here, because this is an SCI, what is it, an SCI, what's the right word for it here, senior? An SCI, SCI with driver with the, a lot of pedigree, a lot of history. Veteran. We'll go with veteran. That's probably a better word for this one here, Adam. But that David, it's like he's walked out of FRT, walked straight into SCI, and put 0.2 on a veteran. I mean, that's surely a personal endeavour on Volakongan's part now.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that kind of goes around, especially as we're now nearing the end of this one. Again, Volakongan now about to go on to his final lap, so he'll be feeling maybe a little bit of pressure on the shoulders, because he'll be seeing a lot of the cars around him, knowing that there are some very, very tight margins, especially the gap down to P6 at the minute is very much looking like it's half a second, or less than half a second, in fact. So still pretty close in this one. Now Volakongan is going to now go and attack the circuit with 1.5 minutes to go in towards that first corner. Let's see how it looks. A little bit wiggly out of that first one. The rear just wasn't quite very solidified, stuck to the ground as the kind of should be. Lock up on the front right as well. So I don't think Volakongan quite got this up to speed. We'll see what happens when he gets to that first sector. But he just seems a little bit out of rhythm. There's a little bit out of touch now. He'll go past the first split. There's still 23 of a second down on his personal best. So we'll see how he actually goes down Lakeside Drive.
Yeah, his first sector is probably the one that's been killing him, to be honest with you, because his second and third is not particularly bad, but he keeps using a lot of his ERS. Look, he's lost another 9,000 in that second sector, so he's going to have to push really hard in this sector. We're following Inwar at the moment. What's his second sector split going to be like? You remember, this is pretty critical for them, because they're down at the bottom of this qualifier. He's found another 32,000, so that will put him into the 14.8s. But with his teammate Giovanni well down the field, and in fact, where is Giovanni at the moment? In fact, he's just getting going with his lap here, so he'll make it no issue. I think Fedmori's actually at risk of potentially not going any further in this one here, as Chiquita's actually left the session entirely, so he's basically done and dusted here. Volakongan comes across that, and he hasn't improved, so he stays with that 14.728. That's not ideal for SCI, but should be good as Inwar's gone for a spin. He managed to fire the 32,000s, but that is going to be all done and dusted for VMV, I think. 14.939. Chiquita obviously didn't make it. He left the session, so it's all about David. Is he going to find even more time here? And it wouldn't surprise me if he did, because he's the man currently in form at the moment as he comes across. Oh, wow, 14.470 actually puts SCI now into the 29.1s here, and I think that probably solidifies SCI's position now here. I think they're probably going to qualify with that.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, that's really promising from those guys. They've really been on top of on this one. That's been absolutely insane from them guys. What about Giovanni to try and put himself a little bit higher? Meanwhile, his teammate has retired, so this is going to be all down to him. But I don't think he found a lot of time in this one. He'll get himself into the 114s, I believe. But over the line, it's decent actually. 114, it's 114.7. Just a couple of thousandths behind Volakongan, so decent there, but I don't think VMV are going to be quite the proudest of that result.
Yes, I would have to agree with that one here. As Fedmori comes across the line, he can't improve, so he stays with that 14.716. His teammate Chiquita with a 14.829 puts them in the 29.5s. VMV, by the way, just as a result of that 14.7 actually has increased them from what was a 29.9 to a 29.6. So they've put themselves actually within touching distance of ASRT, but I think it's quite a way off from SCI, who have managed to top this session very comfortably indeed. Only thanks really to David, the Polish man, absolutely flying with that 14.470, puts in nearly 2.5, in fact over 2.5 tenths on his teammate, and in fact, but though Fred Mori managing to beat there for ASRT and might give them a knocking on the door of this particular competition for a potential qualifying spot. Lobby B coming up in just a few short moments time. We will have a grand total of 6 teams taking part in the second lobby, which will be with us in just a few short moments. Don't go away. Prove that they are going to be within touching distance of qualifying for this one, especially when they wanted to put the pressure, of course, on our defending champions and auto qualifiers, of course, in ET8 Esports. Adam, cracking first session, that one. As I said, SCI definitely got a firm hold of that one. Very close between ASRT and VMV in the end, but we now have to head over to Lobby B, where we've got 6 teams lucky to get going in this one. Actually, we'll knock that down. It's not going to be 5, isn't it? Because, of course, we've lost... No, pardon me, it is still 6. We did have 7 initially, but XPG now have pulled out.
Yes, so we'll have to see how that all kind of goes out, but yeah, a big disappointment there for XPG. You know, a team that I'm quite familiar with. I think a couple of F122 drivers used to cover in other leagues. You know, joined that team, so you know, real disappointment not to see them out there. But you know, for the rest of them, I think there's a big opportunity for these guys. You know, they're really competitive, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to do in this qualifying session. So. Yeah, really intrigued to see how that's all gonna plan out in this one. Right now, I can't really put a kind of a finger on who might be close at the top. You know, you're just gonna have to go out there and really work it out for yourselves.
I'm really looking forward to this one as well, because there are some big names in this particular event as well, of course, because with this one, we've got a lot of the drivers that have decided to make some switches up ahead of the Christmas period, wanted to get themselves ready when it comes to the driving lineup here. We've got the lobby just about to get going, I think, in this particular one. But one thing I do know is that we've got AMR have decided to retain Ivan Eskrig and Natso Zito for this one. They are very, very quick drivers, especially Ivan Eskrig. He's going to be one to keep a very firm eye out on this one. Max von der Geest for Ventauri is so quick as well. The infamous Nico Rassenberg now at FRT. He's with Dan tonight. Dan, very up and down driver, can be really, really quick at times, but occasionally you might see him slip to second. So just keep an eye out on that one. And Sieb and Phil, what a OG lineup for IRT here tonight. That will be really exciting as well. So we should be in for an absolute cracker in Lobby B here. We've got some really infamous names in this one. So keep an eye on this one, because I think this one's actually going to be a lot closer than you think.
Oh yeah, I fully expect this to be, within half a second of each other. The margins are going to be ridiculous. And you've already hyped it up really well, I'll be honest. It will be one of those that just gets you on the edge every single lap. So I think a lot of them will try and maybe get 4 laps out of this one. Usually you want 3, but I thought there were some teams in there that were quite close to getting 4 laps, which I have no idea how, but it is possible. And I think that right now, I think a lot of tension rises on this one, a lot of tension. So we'll have to see how that all goes out. In terms of the F1 teams, AMR will be represented by Red Bull, VNT will be represented by Williams, FRT by Alpine, IRT by Mercedes, RSC by VCarb, and AMS by Haas. So they are going to be the cars to look out for. We'll point them out as we go around this qualifying session. And yeah, really intrigued to see how this is all going to go.
Yeah, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what the teams are also going to do in terms of what they will decide when we get to the actual event as well, because certain teams have found a lot of comfort. I know SCI find a lot of comfort in racing in the Mercedes outfit. So if they decide to switch it up and use that and use something different, maybe they might start to show a few cracks at the moment of the team. I think, considered despite the fact they're not auto qualifying, SCI certainly the front runners at the moment. So just keep an eye on that one. If you don't mind, I want to have a quick look at the prize pool again, because this is what, of course, all the teams are going to be fighting for in this championship. Because as I said, while we're waiting for the qualifiers, €500. What a bucket of cash that is for winning a tournament like this one as well. And despite the fact that, it's a lot of cash, there is still a load of cash all the way down to 9th place. So, even the smaller teams that might not get towards, the front are still going to earn, a nice sort of stipend, if you will, to really set themselves up for 2026.
Yeah, indeed. No, you're gonna want that. You want that bucket of cash to see if you can potentially just, further your training as well. Maybe see if you can potentially get another driver in. One of the top drivers. You'll have to see how that all kind of pans out. So for sure, a lot of these drivers are going to be wanting to definitely get into the top, maybe 4, definitely into the top 3, but. Yeah, for the big signings, you want that number 1 spot, but how hard you have to work for that one. That will be really, really intriguing. So yeah, I think for a lot of them, I wonder if it's just about not trying to finish last either. Because that gives you absolutely nothing. That gives you a pile of dirt, in all honesty. So it will be definitely one of those where you have to really work out how you're going to maybe go around each round of this one. But again, we do have to go around to all of those qualifying events. So it does look like we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe 6 qualifiers in this one.
Yep, should be an absolute cracker indeed. The qualifying is just about to get going this one, and we'll be seeing what will be no doubt a very interesting Lobby B. Don't go away. Welcome back to Velocity Esports and the Ultimate Masters qualifiers. We are now here for Lobby B, the second of the 3 lobbies here tonight. 6 teams are taking part in this one. Of course, Red Bull with AMR, you've got Alpine with FRT, Mercedes IRT, VCarb RSC, Haas AMS, and then we should be in for, an interesting set of events ahead of us here, because we have got such a close spread here of drivers of very, very close quality here. Some more infamous than others. I'm thinking the likes of Nico Rassenberg. I'm thinking Max von der Geest, and even Eskrig, more infamous within the community. But you've got these sort of people who sit in the background and really make a living. I'm thinking Sieb and Phil. They are uber quick at IRT, and they are looking to try and qualify for back-to-back esports championships effectively.
Indeed. Still so much to look into this one, because of course being told in my ears that this could be a group of death here. If you're right down the bottom, you could be in serious trouble, because we had some pretty quick drivers in that opener. I believe the fastest time with a 14.4 by SCI. They're going to be looking to see if they can potentially maybe get around that mid. So yeah, the mid 114. So we'll have to see how that all kind of works out in this one. Now you can see EVE just working their way through in towards that middle sector, in towards the first sector split. 26-0 for the first one, but I think these are kind of wind up. They're just trying to just wind up the engines, wind up the aero, and kind of get the car into a working zone. 30 left of this one, so still plenty of time. No pressure on the shoulders of these guys, but yeah, careful in the middle sector. That's going to be pretty important, I think.
Yeah, if you're familiar with this Malta-based championship, you may notice EVE as a name is a classic name of Project Aversio. He's no longer taking part in Formula 1, but of course Addis is still very interested in Formula 1, racing for the Race Speed Championship RSC tonight for VCarb, and looking to set the first lap of the day. Remember, fastest one set so far was a 14.47. We'll see then as he comes across the line now, it's a 14.883. So actually within touching distance already here is the RSC driver. Max von der Geest, relatively comfortable with a 14.8 of his own. His teammate 14.9, but Nico Rassenberg comes across the line here for the Alpine outfit. That's his FRT with the fastest of the bit, another 14.861. Here's Ivan Eskrig, known for his qualifying. He comes across the line and he even shows it, still doesn't he? 14.731. Brilliant lap time indeed.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really promising from those guys. And it's just going to be being about as consistent as you possibly can with both drivers. We'll have to see how that all goes. And look at that, even then, AMR with both their cars in the top 2, but then that gets absolutely slain by Namsco in the Racing Bulls car for SRC. How are they going to go? Because they now find themselves in 1st and 6th already. So it looks like both Mercedes cars of IRT and both Haas cars of AMS are going to be struggling just a little bit on this one.
Worth making note, of course, that there's multiple ways that you can do a qualifier like this one. We're following AMS's Nardo at the moment. There's multiple ways you could do this in this particular format. You could aggregate the times together, so you take both of the times, find the average, and then that's the lap time that you qualify with. Or you do what we're doing here tonight, which is actually add the times together to generate a final result. So as it stands so far, our fastest team is, in this situation, SCI with a 14.728 and a 14.470. That means it's a 29.198, so they are the fastest so far. Nardo straight in the pit lane won't complete his lap time. Ollie's just leaving the pits here for AMS. Namsco just going to be joining into the pit lane now, is the man for RSC. Very good lap time. This is very typical of RSC. In general race pace trim, they're not quite there, but when it comes to qualifying, they just know how to get there, and they'll be breathing down the necks of those in sort of a 6th, 7th and 8th place for this championship. They may qualify, but I think it might just be hundredths of a second that separates these, as we're now following the OGs of the esports world, IRT and Sieb. Keep an eye out on these ones, because it will be definitely a bit of a make or breaker for the team represented in Mercedes.
Yeah, interesting to see how they're all gonna go. I had a little bit of confusion because you've got Alien Motorsports, whose abbreviation is AMS, and then AMR Esports, who of course are AMR. So a little bit of confusion on my part there. Yeah, we'll have to see how they both go in this one. But of course, James, also how quick some of these guys are. You've had kind of the previous experiences. Are we going to be seeing any surprises there from both the AMS and the IRT cars? Could they potentially both jump their way a little bit higher? Because it does look a little bit worrying at this moment in time. But do you think they have what it takes to maybe put themselves in a competitive position?
Right, look, people will know that I may have got a slight little history with AMS, and perhaps us not really seeing eye to eye when it comes to how we manage our races in the past. I'm thinking F1 2019, many years ago here, actually. So they'll know that I'm going to be trying to remain impartial in this one, but they're a team that really haven't managed to get the ground running. So this is an opportunity maybe to try and shear away from the grassroots movement that they have developed, where it's very much a team that's based on the assists, and actually steering away from that with a tournament like this one as well. I know Ollie Hornby is an upcoming driver. He will be almost the golden ticket, I think, for AMS here tonight, but we'll have to see as we're following Sieb. He is a man who managed to get a cracking race victory over in WR Legacy Division this year in Britain Reverse, so if he manages to do quite well, 14.925, initially out the blocks not looking particularly strong, but he will be one to keep an eye out later down the line. 14.955 for Ollie, just tucks in behind Seed. Where is Phil in this one? I think he's just coming across now the final corner, and he dives actually into the pit lane because he's invalidated his lap. So initially out the blocks, not looking particularly strong for the old faces themselves, that is IRT.
Yeah, indeed. You're still gonna have to work on. You're gonna have to maybe work on a bit of execution on this one. This is very much high stakes, even if it doesn't look like it. Even if there are 12 cars out on the racetrack on this one, it's still one of those where it's just super high stakes. What about 80 YZ? Good lap there. Now both of those SRC esports drivers are going to be really on the ball here, because they've got themselves into a kind of a 1-3 situation, as well as AMR, so they're going to be running in a pretty decent position there. So it's pretty much both Red Bull seniors and Red Bull juniors here. What about Max Geese puts himself up into the seconds? We've got a kind of a bit of a, well, we've got quite a pattern here. The top 7 blue coded cars. Meanwhile, VNT Leon is having a bit of a struggle through that final sector, because he's had so much traffic. The car that now has been caped in a Golf livery is now going to go over the line. Here goes top of the pile here, and that is going to be super promising. So what was looking like a very difficult situation so the time after maybe the first runs here, we're now seeing both the both Venturi drivers now put themselves into some very, very good spots. All top 8 cars now in all in blue now, and on Zito now goes to 3rd on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is critical here. Ventaure are a team that, they were really stretching in the midfield. This is the old NLR team that recently rebranded over the last 6 months, and they became a very strong outfit in the midfield. Now, they have got a point to prove in this particular championship, so much so, they're actually only within 0.05 of a second of SCI, can you believe it, at the moment? So they are looking very strong indeed. But Ventauri with Leon with that 14.590, that is, if I am right in saying now, the second fastest lap that we've had so far, and we've got 8 minutes to go left in this qualifier. So I have a gut feeling Leon is going to be one to keep a very firm eye out on here. Here comes Phil, who's about to get going with his lap here. IRT, again, a point to prove, very much at the midfield, or rear of the midfield rather, IRT, but they are an OG brand. They have got a lot of history, a lot of pedigree, and a lot of experience behind them, and it doesn't surprise me the field Steve and Phil here tonight, but they need to find a bit more than a 14.9 if they want to qualify for the Ultimate Masters.
Indeed, you're really going to have to be looking at, as I say, the mid 114s here, and that's exactly what Leon's done. So no matter what he does now, he will definitely be in those 114s, which are going to be oh so crucial for the team Venturi. We'll see what Phil can do, because he's one of two drivers who's not been able to get a lap in this one. He passes by Lakeside Drive and past one of the Alpine cars, and he'll turn his way in toward the left, in towards the right, and really on the limiter here. I think a lot of them in the previous lobby were actually mid kind of range and mid RPM. So I wonder if he maybe got a little bit more traction out of that right hander out of 10. He'll cast his way in towards this final sector, really darts the car. It almost feels like it's back to 2018 again. You're seeing these drivers just chuck the car in, seeing it rotate as well. It's a great sight to see. And now over the line for IRT Phil, where he go a little bit higher up to P8, but still not looking quite that promising there for what seems to be the INT Racing team. Still a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, AMR currently third fastest rather overall in this qualifier as well. They've got 29.378, so they're only within around about 1.18 seconds of SCI at the moment. So very closely compact between the teams. SCI are based in Scotland, Venturi based in England, and of course AMR based over in Spain. So very good stuff indeed from them at the moment. Where's Nardo at the moment as well? Very close to Lando himself, of course, world champion in the real life F1, crowned world champion last Sunday in Abu Dhabi. Who's going to be the champion of this one, though? We've got an exciting 10 weeks ahead of us starting in January. Nardo just himself at the moment, just going through turn 6 as he now heads through 7, and then of course this little kink here of turn 8. Not real turns here for these F1 cars. Of course, you can go completely flat through here. You can almost go flat through this set of corners, turn 9 and 10. 43.0 in the second sector, not looking promising. And then, of course, complete corner cut there from Nardo. He's really struggling here. He hasn't got a lot of time as well either, and that is going to put AMS under a lot of pressure. Otherwise, it's going to be a flat 90-second if he doesn't qualify. If he doesn't set a lap, it'll be a flat 90-second, and that will absolutely kill AMS's chances of qualifying for this event.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really worrying here. What about Ollie Hornby as he's about to head over the timing beam? He needs to get to improve, maybe get himself out of the top 10. He does. P6 for him, and that's going to be massive for the team. They just need Nardo to get into a really good place here, so that will be mighty interesting as well here. Namsco goes even faster, 114.5 there as he heads over the timing beam. For the SRC Esports team. What about Max von Gies once again in that for the Venturi racing team? And over the beam he goes, he puts himself up into second, just ahead of his teammates. So I think that is a very close confirmation that we could be seeing Venturi in the Velocity Ultimate Masters.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Both now in the 14.5s is a blistering lap time, and actually now, Venturi are on paper faster than SCI as a result of that one as well. So it's really, really good. And it's not just the fact that they're quick, but they're also very consistent. They're close together, which is so critical in a qualifying like this one as well. Very, very good stuff indeed. No improvements here from Addis, of course, the old Project Aversio driver racing here for the RSC outfit tonight, Racing Speed Championship themselves in the V-carb. Here is a bit of lag as well on his side. But this is critical here now for AMS. Again, more known for their assist running sort of team as opposed to the non-assist team, and Nardo really starting to show a little bit of strain here. With 3.5 minutes to go as it stands, he'll be setting the flat 90-second lap time if he does not set a lap time, and as I said, that will massively kill AMS's chances of qualifying for the Ultimate Masters. Max von der Gies, though, 14.581, he now joins into the pit lane, and that will round off this particular set of runs. Just over 3 minutes to go in this session, and as it stands so far, Venturi looking very strong, as they have officially found, if my math works it out right, 35 thousandths of a second on SCI.
That will be a game changer. Those 35 seconds could be very, very, well, sorry, I think 35 thousandths of a second. Yeah, that could be very game changing in a cozy, compact field like this. And I did kind of say, I think it'd be definitely less than maybe half a second in this one. Yeah, we're really looking at what is that now? Less than is that less than 4 tenths of a second? Confirm with me here, James. Between the first and 11th.
Yes, I think it's fairly close at the moment, to say the least, between these drivers. They're just trying to, eke out every thousandth of a second as they can here, Adam. So I'm keeping a very firm eye on how the rest of this sort of field decides to develop. IRT, and this is very critical, something that's very characteristic of them, have sent their drivers out early. They have done this in other tournaments as well when they know they're on the back foot, and that is very characteristic of the OG team. They know they've got the experience, they know they need to have as much of a field as they can, but what I'm concerned about is actually a lot of people are still just leaving the pit lane here. They're going to be on fast laps, they won't have any impediment at all until they get to turn number 13, where you'll see a bunch of drivers that will all back up at turn 13. So if they've sent them out too early here, there's a real risk that there's going to be some very strong impeding here for Seb and Phil. It will be at this corner here on the next tour, so keep a very firm eye on this one here. Seb will come across turn number 14 and he'll get going with his lap, and this is a critical lap here. It's do or die for IRT.
Yeah, indeed, they have to get something out of this one. We had our way on towards turn number 1. Let's have a look and see how he attacked it. You can still see the grass has been absolutely dug out there on the entry of turn number 1. That's kind of your apex for everyone to hit there. On towards turn number 3, how did the car look? Pretty stable, just maybe a little bit of a lack of rotation through that third corner compared to what we were seeing in that first lobby. But now you're just carrying all the speed in toward the first sector with a half a hundredth of a tenth up there. So looking pretty strong in this opening one here for C. But now look at that third sector. That's looking pretty close here, and this is going to get really, really difficult now for C. He's going to have no idea of any of this. Almost 2 tenths up here for C, but if he can get something out of this one, he's going to be right in that top 3.
Yeah, this is good this here now, because he's managing to get himself within touching distance of a good lap indeed. We're keeping an eye out on Seb for now, because he will be the first person to set a lap. His teammate will be next here. Now, no unusual issues in terms of turn 13, so everyone's managed to get on with the laps. A little bit of a tail-happy car at turn 13 as he tries to go later on the brakes. Might have lost a bit of time or so. We'll see as he comes across the line. Does Seb manage to improve? He does, but it's only a 14.744. He lost all of that time in the end as a result of that little bit of a tail-happy situation, and Phil comes across the line and it's a 14.8 for himself as well. So actually not the cleanest of laps here at all. Nico Rassenberg comes across the line. It's a 14.861. He won't beat his teammate on this occasion. Nardo comes across the line. Oh, and the last occasion, AMS, he really needed that one. 14.727. Very good lap time indeed from the Haas runner. Hey, we're going to keep an eye out on FRT. Dan, this is critical for FRT and may not even be qualifying as it stands with these particular laps. 14.590 actually matches Leon on that occasion. Very good lap time indeed from FRT. That will improve their chances. Ivan Estrig is well down the field for what he can usually deliver, and he's still well down the order for where he can deliver. As also Zito comes across the line with a 14.324 and shows flexes the muscles here of the Red Bull outfit at AMR. No more further improvements, I think, coming in from other people. Where are the Williams outfits? Max von der Geest is in, Leon is in, Seb, he won't be improving either. I think we're all done and dusted for this event here, and one thing is for certain, AMR flexing their muscles with one of their drivers, but even Estrig 3 tenths down will harm their chances. I think more advantage than Tauri here.
Yeah, I think that they've been pretty consistent there. They kept themselves very, very close in terms of their times here. So you're kind of looking at maybe both the AMR cars in that one. I think maybe even definitely Venturi. So that will be very, very, very intriguing as well. So we'll do our calculations as we start doing that as well. But I think there's a couple of them we can maybe potentially confirm are going out, but again, it's still super, super close. And of course, you've got to have the knock-on effect of the first 3 cars or the first 3 teams that went out in that first lobby.
Yeah, we can't confirm any knockouts at the moment because, of course, 9 spots available and 9 teams have raced. So we'll know more about that one as we get through Lobby 3. But one thing is for certain, very confident indeed at the top of the field at Red Bull. They will be very happy with that 14.324. Will the team at AMR, and that actually will make them very happy. But the gap between him and the second driver of a 14.643 in Ivan Eskrig is a little bit uncharacteristic from him. But he is probably feeling a little bit uneasy out there at the moment. But Ventari, I think, are on top here. Very close drivers, only 9 thousandths of a second between each other. And of course, down at the back, IRT well down the field as well. Nico Rassenberg, slowest of everyone so far. We're back for Lobby 3 in just a few short moments. Hey, welcome back to the Ultimate Masters tournament. Then we are in for Lobby C in just a few short moments, where we've got and further six teams looking to try and qualify for this one. What an absolute belter of a session that was in Lobby B. In the end, though, the fastest team that just flew out of there straight away by a country mile in the end was the team represented at Ventauri with that 15.59 and a 15.581. They've put themselves with a 29.171, which puts them, as I said, about what's that? The math on that one is 27 thousandths faster than SCI. So they are very happy indeed, are the Ventauri outfit. Lobby C, though, as we said, six teams wanted to get in this one here. Tatum Race Tech, Team TF10, Evolution Racing, All Elite Racing, Bravo Racing Club, and Formula One Academy de France should be in for an absolute belter on this one. And again, a real mixed bag of drivers. I'm thinking TF10, they've got Snack and Tiago, very quick drivers. EVR, Kevin Zunberg is a real up-and-coming driver. He's going to be excited to keep an eye out on. TF10, always Epic Vale, really, really quick driver. Always happy to see him. And then Andrea Entil at TRT should also be an absolute cracker. This should be fun.
Yeah, it will be for sure. Of course, Team TF10, TF10 third last season in the standings, so they'll be hoping to qualify for this one. They should be really, really quick out the blocks on this one. So, I think there's going to be a couple of maybe little hidden gems amongst the next one. So for sure, keep an eye out for anyone. This is a kind of a fresh, open fielded play here after this one. So we'll have to see how that all goes. I think Evolution Racing could maybe be a dark horse. I've seen a couple of good drivers that I used to cover back in the day who have joined that team as well. So for sure, they're going to be definitely on top of their game on this part. So overall, there's still some promising teams in there. We just have to then work out what is going to happen in this one, and it's going to be pretty impossible to predict, in all honesty.
Yeah, it should be very, very difficult to predict here, because we're talking literally hundredths of a second, potentially separating yourselves from qualifying and not qualifying here. So keep an eye out on these times here, because they're going to end up tumbling down very quickly, especially in Lobby 3, which we think there may be a little technical hitch in the third lobby here. We might have got the time of day wrong, so it might just be a small delay as we get that one set up, which actually allows us to very briefly talk about the calendar, because, of course, the calendar upcoming here is a very exciting one. As we said, we've got 10 weeks of racing, starting at Silverstone Reverse on the 8th of January, brand new year, brand new season, no doubt, to start it off. And then, of course, we take a trip all the way through to Qatar on the 26th of March to round off this championship. Real mixed bag of tracks here, Adam, as well. Of course, as you said, I think right at the start, you've got that run of European races before the break. Then we take a trip over to Asia for China and Japan, and then we wrap it up in the Americas with Canada and Texas, and then wrap it up in then the Middle East with Qatar. So you can really sort of not just split up the calendar into two parts, but also into parts based on region.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those where you kind of have those stages. You're going to have Silverton, then you're going to have Barcelona, then you've got all the way up to Imola. You'll find that as the European stages, and then of course you get your break. And then you need to kind of adjust yourself ahead of Shanghai and Suzuka. And then, you can maybe say the North American stage is going to be in kind of a next one, but you're really looking at the kind of three, despite, of course, Montreal, Texas, and Losail being in completely different places. So yeah, that's kind of really what you're looking for. You're kind of chopping your season up into places, really maybe changing a couple tactics as well, trying to put a few training sessions for your drivers. So it will be one of those where you're just going to have to keep working away on that one. But yeah, if you can find a way to maybe cut up your season, try and gain as many points as you possibly can. Forget about what's going on with the championship in the first 5 rounds, and just keep an eye on the talent. Maybe make a transfer in, and then maybe then you can then focus on next 3 rounds, and then work out what's going on work out what's going on for the next 2 rounds, and then maybe find a good way to attack that final 3 rounds. So for sure, there's going to be a lot when it comes into the main season, and I'm really excited to see how those drivers really look into working away at this one.
Yeah, I mean, are there any specific circuits that you're going to be interested in? Obviously, we know that Silverstone Reverse is always going to bring something a little bit more of a spicier affair. We know that Silverstone generally is a pretty intense race, but then going in the reverse direction, it has brought in the F1 esports sphere quite an intense set of races. So we know it's going to be an intense one. But are there any specific circuits that you're going to be keeping an eye out on in this particular championship? For me, as I said, Britain Reverse, Losail, to bookend it basically, is a really good way to wrap it up. But for me, Spielberg.
Spielberg's definitely going to be one of those where that's you're going to introduce absolute chaos. There's so many great races from real life racing, from esports racing that's happened at that circuit. It's been phenomenal to look at. I think Spa is also going to be one of those where it can definitely put a stamp onto your season. If you get a good result in Spa, I could really put you on a great trajectory ahead of the next round of Imola and then into the season break before going through those final 5 rounds. But also, if you get a result that's not as good, and you find yourself really looking at what has happened this season so far, that can really send you spiraling. So I definitely think that one. I wonder how Suzuka's going to go as well. I believe that was round 7 of the championship. You never really see Suzuka on a lot of calendars, and it can be one of those that I think really definitely challenges these drivers. It would be one of those that could very much get very, very hot in terms of the action. Um, very kind of tentative on the drive because they're always going to be playing around with the steering wheel, the settings, having to really keep an eye on what's going on around them. And I just think that Suzuka round could be a very a pinnacle one where you find a lot of gravitas around it.
Yeah, should be an absolute cracker, to say the least, as well. We've got the third lobby just about getting going in just a few short moments, but one thing is for certain, we've got what is going to be a very mixed bag. I've got a bit of interesting stat for you here in this one. So AMR are the fastest team so far here. Their combined lap time is a 28.967. Ventauri is a 29.171. SCI 29.198. Now, SCI have been known to really push forward and be the more consistent of the runners, but one thing that they ended up struggling with historically has been that driver A, driver B issue, where driver B has been around about 2 or 3 tenths a lap slower, and unfortunately that may have fallen a little bit into old ground for the team that has been really, really pushing so hard in this esports sphere. They're third fastest overall. I still think they'll qualify. We do have another 6 teams in this one here. I think what we can say is that if 6 teams get in front of SCI, that pushes them down all the way out of the field. So, look, it's unrealistic to say that. I still think that, they're going to qualify, but going into this tournament, if they have that problem again, that might just, freak them out a little bit going into 2026.
It will do. I think there's no reason why those guys can maybe try and sort it out. But if you find that problem at the start of the season, that's going to really hurt your chances. Especially you've got to wait half a season before you then find yourself being able to be able to make those transfers. Maybe a lot of teams that rate, might not be attracted to you. They might find that they simply say no. They can very easily just decline your offer. And you have to stick with those 2 drivers that you've been struggling with for the remainder of the season, and and the last thing you want to be doing there is at that point it's just a race to avoid last at that rate. You're gonna just try and pray that your fastest driver is getting in those points, racking up those top tens, and then being able to just avoid last, which is going to be the main key problem for I think a lot of these teams.
Yeah, should be an absolute cracker here. We're going to be taking a very brief break because our lobby is just about to get going. Lobby 3 in just a few short moments. Take care. Masters tournament. We're here for the final lobby here, Lobby 3, Lobby C of this Ultimate Masters qualifying live from Australia. So, what's the catch then? What's the situation at the moment? One thing I can tell you is going into this one, AMR are the fastest of those that are qualified so far with a 28.967. Ventauri are second with a 29.171, and SCI are third with a 29.198. Behind them, RSC, FRT, AMS, ASRT, IRT, and VMV, rounding out those who qualified. But we have another 6 drivers wanting to take part in this one. Tatum Race Tech, TRT themselves in the Alpine here tonight. TF10 are in the Ferraris, EVR are in the Mercedes, AERT are in the V-Carb, VRC are in the Red Bulls, and F1AF are in the Williams. So, well, when you talk about favourite for this particular one, you can't discredit TF10. Tatum Race Tech should also be up there as well, but EVR have been known to throw an upset or two, and I'll be honest with you, Kevin Zuberg as an individual driver is blisteringly quick, so keep an eye on him tonight.
Indeed. Seeing those 12 cars out there, again, really gives you a little bit of a buzz here. So there's going to be a lot of traffic on the circuit. You're already seeing that last sector really flooded with Formula One cars. But you're now seeing Caden, who will be on this opening lap here to try and put himself and his team into a big spots to join the likes of ET8 and Venturi into this session. But of course, remember, it is not fully guaranteed. If these guys all put in 14 threes, 14 fours, that would see Venturi eliminated. So you've really got to be careful of what these guys are going to be doing here. We'll now see what Shadow YT can do for his team, who I believe are going to be the EART team. Again, that will be very much a team that could definitely go and cause some damage and cause an upset in this one. So yeah, we'll have to see how the first laps end, and then we'll get a better idea.
Yeah, new drivers as well here for All Elite as well. So Shadow was part of Phoenix Motorsport, and Caden, as you can see there, was originally from FRT. So electing to take new drivers here, All Elite here, putting all their eggs in the new driver basket for this particular qualifier. Shadow will be the first person to set a lap time. It's a 14.848, but initially coming here across the line next will be, well, actually, let's go follow actually the F1 AF team. This is the Formula One Academy de France driver there. Oh, never mind, we're going over to EVR then, apparently, as we follow Misha as he comes across the line 15.0, as the Alpine comes across the line TRT Till 14.9. Here is Massey as he comes across the line, Holly Massey rather, comes across the line for the Red Bull outfit 14.966. Here's TF10 Snack, no surprises there, 14.777 initially out of the blocks. Kevin Zumberg, I did say keep a very firm eye out on this man as he comes across the line, 14.959, but his use of his ERS on that lap was a little bit compromising.
Yeah, I wonder if he maybe just struggled, or maybe forgot to switch it at some point, sometime in the lap. So, yeah, a little bit of a worry on that part, but we'll hope to see if we can potentially just work out something a little bit better on this part. TF10, Tiago, slowest of the drivers, 115.2. 3 drivers currently sitting in the 115, but it looks like Tiago's actually going again here. So, rushing around the outside of one of the Red Bull cars, Red Bull being represented by BRC in this one, the Bravo Racing Club. And we'll now see what Tiago can do if he's on a lap time here. Down in toward the right hander, I believe he's not going to get to the line in time. Absolutely not.
Yes, I wouldn't expect anything on that one at the moment here. So let's keep an eye out then on Tiago, actually. Where is Tiago? Is he entering the pit lane right now, actually? Because we did see, yeah, he is diving into the pit lane, as is his teammate Snack as well, 14.777. Tiago, uncharacteristically slow lap time, that one from Tiago. There's more in him on that one. But we've still yet to see lap times from 2 drivers here. That's Caden there for the All Elite Racing. Pardon me, sorry, it's not the All Elite Racing. No, it is the All Elite Racing team. Trust myself, James. Trust myself here. And then, of course, the F1, the Formula One Academy de France driver of Sune is still yet to set a lap as well. Caden, a little bit out of sync with everyone else here, but opportunity because of a completely clean track.
Yep. Again, we'll have to see how this team goes, because they're looking. It doesn't look too promising, but you've got one driver who's currently sitting in second, and the other one who's currently not put a lap time on the board. So we'll see what Caden can do towards that first corner. Oh, the rear wanted to step out there, but Caden just kind of put it, kind of told it to, be quiet and, get on with the lap here. In towards turn number 3, a little bit, wasn't too bad on the rotation there, saving a bit of the battery, I see as well. So he's now trying to really get the car to push his way through on toward that first sector split. Oh, that could have been maybe a little bit better, but you're pretty good there, 26-0. Yeah, I didn't quite have some sector times memorized, but that is pretty good so far. We'll have to see what he does in toward the second sector.
Yes, certainly indeed as well. So I'm just keeping an eye out as well on the situation at BRC as well, because of course, the BRC team, Bravo Racing Club, it's interesting to see that they've decided to field Epic Vale, because of course Epic Vale originally a TF10 man himself. So, it's going to be interesting to see if we've got anything come by. And remember, of course, there may be reruns as well. A little whisper in my ear from Jake Stammert, our director here tonight, making the note, of course, there will be potentially some reruns. So we will be continuing to go live at the end of this one here as Caden goes across the line with a 14.936. We may have a Lobby D coming up for any reruns, so we'll keep an eye on that one. I didn't see any impediments here, so looks like everyone kept it nice and clean, which for a Formula One franchise platform is actually pretty good going, let's be honest.
Yeah, indeed. That's not too bad whatsoever. We see Epic Valley heading over the line for the team TF10. Would he be able to put in a good lap time? Well, in fact, he's just starting it, so we'll be able to keep an eye on with him. But at this moment in time, I think you're just you're just trying to find a really good place. And actually, in fact, I think I made a little error. He's part of the BRC team, so I think Bravo Racing Club team. So I think maybe a transfer, maybe potentially that we've not quite caught up with. Oof.
Yeah, just a little bit shaky, isn't he, at the moment? Here is Epic Vale, of course, not racing for TF10, unlike the name says. He is actually here for the Bravo Racing Team driver here as well, Bravo Racing Club, rather, as he's now heading towards turn 9 and 10. He's found 18 thousandths of a second, a little bit more confidence in the back of that Red Bull, but track extension at turn 10 puts any dampener on that particular lap time improving. But look how close it is out there at the moment as well. We've got, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers in the 14.9s, 2 drivers in the 14.8s, make that 1 driver in the 14.8s, as Phoenix has just come across the line, Shadow rather, has just come across the line. I knew I'd end up breaking that one as well. Here for the other team at the pardon me, I've got it wrong again, AERT, All Elite Racing Team to go fastest so far. Here comes, though, the Grandada as he comes across the line, F1 Academy France, looking fairly confident themselves, now finally into the 1 minute 14s.
Yeah, indeed, that would be pretty promising for them. They've got to try and get their other driver up there, only Kitsune. I think he's at the moment just making his way, is it over the line? Yeah, he's just working his way over the line, in fact. And now just starting a lap time through the first one. Looks pretty tame compared to other cars out there. Looks like TRT of Andrea has just gone pretty well up to second place there. Kevin Zunberg has gone third on this part now. We're starting to really find the rhythm here. But look at the times compared to what we saw. A lot of them 11.7s for the minute. That's a little bit off the pace if you're looking overall here. So, looking overall, whilst they are up at the top end of these drivers, they might not be finding a way through, but as long as they keep consistent, I think the most likely to go through here is Tatum Restep.
Here's one for you as well, as it stands so far. My math has it that actually EVR are just knocking on the door of qualifying, and once again in another tournament breaching the potential of getting into that top 9, the critical top 9, of course, to qualify for this Velocity Esports Ultimate Masters tournament, the team tournament brought to you by Velocity Esports. And of course, all of those names that you see in the bottom left-hand corner, give them a quick glimpse every so often, please, because they are the people that make it possible here at Velocity Esports Live in Malta. We're live, though, in Australia with 7 and a bit minutes to go in this session, looking very sharp indeed at the moment are the All Elite Racing Team driver of Shadow, looking very good with that 14.6, as we're just following Massi at the moment. It's the Red Bull driver at the Bravo Racing Club.
We'll have to see how they all go at this moment in time. So I think the lowest teams are the lowest team at the moment are the Formula One Academy France. We'll have to see how they all go again, because they've got one car in the 149s, and then they've got the other one who's coming to the pits. And again, only Kitsune very much seemingly struggling here. If they can't put in a lap time here, that's going to be massively worrying. That means again they won't be able to get a time in, and of course they'll get set straight to the bottom of the standings unless that kind of extra lobby does save them. And we'll have to really see what the team from France can do. Massey will now head in towards the final sequence and probably start to wind up the gearbox to set a lap time here. Down in 11th, slowest time of everybody here. He needs to try and put himself up into a decent time here for the Bravo Racing Club, because those guys are looking a little bit off the pace here.
Yes, a little bit off the pace at the moment as well. As it stands so far, the Bravo Racing Club will actually be 14th fastest, and that's just purely because they're both of them in the 14.9s. They're not going to get any faster there. As Massey getting a big load of oversteer going through turn 3, and that might have ended any hope of that Sector 1 being anywhere near, as I think we've just seen Caden come across the line to improve here. So that's the team at VCAR, that's AERT. He's gone from a 14.936 to a 14.928. So a little bit of an improvement there, but no position improvement there. They're still 11th fastest. As it stands so far, the team that's on the brink, the ASRT team, they are the ones currently, as it stands, qualifying by just 29 thousandths of a second to IRT. So there's still plenty of opportunities to potentially overtake that team. As we're just keeping an eye on Massey, he may claim here that he's going to get impeded, and there he maybe is our first impediment here. F1 Academy France may be in a little bit of trouble for that one, as it looks like Kitsune may have blocked Massey. He will say that he was blocked, but his lap time wasn't looking strong either way.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think that's going to be one for the Velocity Stewards here. They're going to have to get to work now, as Kitsune already the rear kicking out on the exit 232, maybe a couple of RPM above, and again, sliding through 5, that's not really a location you want to be sliding through whatsoever. You know, that means maybe the car just isn't quite there. It's over-rotating, it seems like, from the off-board view of the F1 Academy France. On towards turn 9 and 10, getting right up the wall. I think they can afford maybe a centimetre or two to the right hand side. I know that's asking quite a bit from somebody in the commentary box, but you need to be opening up that corner as much as you possibly can. Shadow YT up to the top there with a 14.6, but it's still not as quick as you've been seeing in Lobby B. And we head our way now in towards 13 and through 14. The rear again sliding away and loses it. Yep, Kitsune, unfortunately for them, they're going to be throwing themselves, throwing their team away. It seems like that's going to be very, very worrying. And remember, a penalty could be tagged onto the team as well.
Yeah, not good at all, actually. Deep into the 37s with that one at the moment for the F1 Academy of France. Here comes then Tiago. We're expecting better lap time from him, and he does improve, and he gets within touching distance of his teammate Snack. 1:14.774 will give them a little bit more confidence here for the Ferrari man, but Snack is on an improvement himself here. 14.756 should be within the 14.6s here for Snack, I'm expecting, as he comes across the line right now, and it's a 14.491. That is exactly the kind of pace that we need now from the Team TF10 outfit, and with 3.5 minutes to go, they are now putting their firm stronghold on trying to qualify for Ultimate Masters.
Can we go to Tiago, please, as well, because he's on a brilliant lap, but there could be a couple of back markers as well. I think that's going to be one of the Red Bull cars of either Epic Vale or Massey as we head our way in toward the right-hander, but he's very, very much off here. It's Epic Vale. They're waiting towards 9, but I think Tiago is right off the pace. He's going to have to come in, change, and then go out here. So this is going to be hugely important on this part here, as Epic Vale will now go over the DRS zone and on towards that main straight. I think Tiago will dip into the pits on this one. He does.
Here's one for who for fear as well. The 5 teams that are in 11th and 10th, they'll be knocked out. 9th, 8th and 7th are separated by just a tenth and a half at the moment. That's the difference between you qualifying relatively comfortably, qualifying just, and being knocked out just. Every hundredth of a second is going to count now in this, what we expect now to be our final run in this one here. Now, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. That's just Epic Vale on a slow lap as Polymassi's on an out lap at the moment. 1:14.966, Epic Vale 1:14.929. Not looking comfortable at the moment for the Bravo Racing Club. As it stands, they will be 14th overall with that combined lap time of a 29.895. That puts them well at the distance, over nearly a second away from our fastest team so far in this championship. That's AMR with that combined time of a 28.967. It's looking increasingly likely here that it's going to be scraps of hundredths of a second to qualify in those final 3 or 4 spots, we think, for this qualifying for Ultimate Masters Season 5. 90 seconds to go.
Yeah, indeed, Polymass is now going to wind up the gearbox and set a lap time here, luckily. Not losing the rear on the exit this time around. Now over the timing beam we go. Both Red Bulls setting themselves up very, very nicely. So Polymassy, who currently sits 11th, is giving a bit of a tow, it seems like, to their teammate. But the Ferrari of, I believe that's going to be TF10 Tiago, is now going to be in the middle of that one. So that is going to be wild in terms of that. Really close to the grass out on the right-hand side. The driver's right-hand side of Polymassy. So you're getting right up to the entry point of that to 4th corner. Really just trying to push the limits, but he's always 3/10 down. That's really worrying for someone like him.
Yes, just sending a quick message as well to yourself, Adam, so you keep up to date with the current situation as it stands. That is how close it is out there at the moment. It's unbelievably close here, and I know I've just committed the commentary cardinal sin of talking over something you guys can't see, but it's just absolutely close at the moment out there. So Polymassy will be the first person in that Red Bull team. That's Bravo Racing Club. He's given up this lap, and that will be the end of qualifying for the Bravo Racing Club as far as I'm concerned. We've got other people who are just now trying to get on with their outlap snack. Is he going to miss it? I think he is going to miss it here. So the man Caden comes across the line to go 14.764, but Snack has missed out on improving on his 14.494. We have seen quicker lap times that are 14.494, so he'll be a bit disappointed with that one here. Andrea's just going through turn 9 and 10. This is the Tatum Racing tech driver. Here's Till, his teammate, 14.718, as he just misses his apex ever so slightly. He'll chuck out a little bit wide here, Will Till, but it's going to be Will Till as he comes across now the final couple of corners here at Australia. This is critical here for Tatum Race Tech. They look like they were going to be a team that really set themselves up last season, but they wanted to try and at least knock on the door one championship. He comes across the line, no improvement from Till, so he'll finish with the 7.18. His teammate Andrea coming across the line from the 7.01. He can't improve either, so that will be it for TRT. Misha looking to try and set something here for EVR as he comes across the line, and he can't improve either in this one. Kevin Silberg won't improve either. He's invalidated his lap. No improvements across the board as it stands here for anyone out on the field, and we could be seeing a complete wrap-up of this one. Tiago's not improving. He's in the pits. Where's Caden in all of this one? That's the man at the VCarb AERT. He's not improving either, can you believe it? I think it's that is going to be all done and dusted here. I don't know why Kitsune is apparently on an outlap, because his race is done and dusted in this one. I think we are all about wrapped on this one here, and as it stands so far, we are all wrapped up. 14.655, I believe it was for Shadow. His teammate Caden 14.764. I don't think there was any further improvements on this one. Oh wow, here's one for you. As it stands so far, AERT and TRT have set exactly the same combined lap time of a 29.419, and they'll both go through in 6th and 7th place as it stands, but we need to confirm whether there'll be any reruns, and F1 Academy de France did end up blocking one of the drivers, and I believe they dropped one of the BRC drivers, so they may end up being a few reruns. So we're not going to fully confirm our qualifiers just yet, but We know our final results as it stands here. Hopefully they'll appear. We're not going to get the black screen of death. If we do, that would be so disappointing. But I do believe we have got that glitch, so we're not going to know the final standings. They were as they were before the graphics came to a conclusion. That is it for this particular session. We're going to now just wait here for any confirmation from the stewards of any specific reruns. That may be the critical nature of this one, because as far as I see it at the moment, there is 14 thousandths of a second separating the bottom place qualifier and the top place non-qualifier. The stewards are going to have to really, really instigate this one.
Honestly, I am a little bit speechless on that part. I think we're just having a couple of discussions behind the scenes as well about what the next steps are of this broadcast, because there are going to be some conversations going on behind the scenes. There's going to be a lot of goings on back at the Velocity Esports Racing HQ about what's going on, but. There's been some, mighty fine teams. I think a lot of these teams have really kind of put themselves in a position to say, we deserve to be in that entry list of the Velocity Ultimate Masters. And as much you want to get every single team in there, you can't. That is why we have these qualified, because we want to know who are the top teams, who are the cream of the crop when it comes to Formula One 2025 racing here. So we'll have to see how that all kind of works out on here. James Otter, how is it looking on your end? I know you've been a bit more Excel spreadsheety more than me.
I certainly have. I certainly have on this one. I've just been trying to keep up all the maths here on this one as well. I've just seen that we needed to update one of the BRC drivers, so we've just done that now. And the Williams outfit here of Grandada was a 15.5. Was that a 14.960? And for Kitsune, unfortunately, it was a 22.381. So F1 Academy France will be at the bottom of this particular qualifier. And as I said, there is still 14 thousandths of a second separating the bottom team who qualified and the team who was top of the non-qualifiers. So they're going to want to try and find any possibility of having another go at this one or that team. We are going to be taking a very brief break as we just go through and sift through all of those stewarding inquiries, and then we'll be back for a full confirmation of our qualifiers if the keyword being we don't go to a round D for anyone that was cut out. Don't go away.
shouldn't want you, I shouldn't need you, but I'm afraid that's not up to me. Cause when I hear you sing through my speakers, it's like my mind takes a hold of me. I've tried shutting you off for some time now, but I'm still hearing your voice in my head. Oh, I wish I was more than your fan now, and that your voice came from here in my bed. You're in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, singing to me. You're in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, making me bleed. You're in my and it's so sad, it just makes me cry. Feels like I know you better than others, but you don't care, you never reply. I've tried shutting you off for some time now, but I'm still hearing your voice in my head. Oh, I wish I was more than your fan now, and that your voice came from here in my bed. You're in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, singing to me. You're in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, baby, in my headphones. You're in my
Out there and said, excuse me, an absolute flyer. Yeah, we'll have to see how this all goes down here for Polymassi, but down in towards the right hander for him. We'll have to see how we all go about onto the exit of turn number 4. He's just trying to warm up the tyres, and look at that, he's going absolute full speed on this one. I don't know if that's kind of the right way to go about this one, Jake, because he's absolutely sending that car around the corner. That'll take a little bit out of the tyres. That'll probably put him to about 1%, but even that 1% does mean quite a little bit in these kind of times here. He's gonna get those tires up to the temperature as well. He's even invalidated the lap, so I think at this moment in time he's just trying to put the car in the zone to get a little bit of practice. Remember, he's only got one lap to send that car around this Albert Park circuit and put in a lap time to qualify him for the Velocity Ultimate Masters. He heads his way around at the final corner. He'll come back into the pit lane, and so he's now just had this test run. He'll put himself onto a fresh set of soft tyres as well, so we'll have to see how this all pans out.
So just full confirmation of the scenario here. We seem to have had a bit of a sound issue at the start of that one here. So actually, big thanks to my friend Jav actually on this one, because he's the one who just mentioned it in my ear over on Discord. So what I was saying was that we're very unsure about the scenario when it comes to. We know about the scenario with BRC. BRC have been committed. They've been committed the one run. They're allowed to do the one run to get going with this one. However, the rulebook specifically states that the driver in question will be warranted one last chance to complete a qualifying lap in another lobby in an attempt to improve their lap time. The drivers will be allowed an outlap, pit, another outlap, and then one final lap. So they'll do this outlap, then they've pitted again, they're now going to do another outlap, and then of course there will be their one final hot lap. So that's the first bit of this is now done. We're now going to get into the second bit of this, where they'll be allowed to go out and have another go at this one. So that's why we saw Polly leave quite a little bit earlier than we anticipated. In this situation, just in case we did miss it in this one, Polly set an initial lap time, I believe, if I'm right in saying, of a... sorry, just trying to get my bearings together so we understand it. He sets a 1:14.966. So he needs to find 0.265 seconds on this lap in order to qualify for the Ultimate Masters tournament for BRC. So it's a tough ask, but not undoable, that's for certain. In the other breaking news at the moment is that we're trying to get a little bit of clarity from the stewards about ASRT Jaquita. So he set, in our lobby that we saw live, a 1:14.829. However, he then set what is described by the stewards as a valid lap of a 1:14.674 that was done in the other lobby that he ended up disconnecting from, and the stewards have allowed it. Now, the exact terminology, the exact words we've got from the lead steward, Michael, on this one is, no specific rule is in place regarding disconnecting from the qualifying event. We have reviewed the footage provided by ASRT, and we have found that it hasn't affected this delta, so we are allowing it to stand. I beg to differ, but I'm not a steward in this one. I'm just the humble commentator, the screamy, shouty man on this one. We'll let the stewards make their own call on this one. Of course, they will have to have their conversations with the relevant teams on this one. But that's the scenario. That's where we're at the moment. As it stands, ASRT will qualify, but still all in fair warn whilst we're waiting for Polymassy to set his improved lap time.
Indeed. So he's now just kind of really waiting in the pit lane. And I think he's just trying to make a few adjustments as well. So that's kind of why he went full beans around that outlap. So yeah, indeed, we'll have to see how that all kind of works out. But you know, it's been quite a difficult time in the Velocity Esports Racing HQ. You know, just kind of make sure we are setting out fair standards for all of our drivers and participants. But right now, this is the sole focus of seeing if Bravo Racing Club can get their team into the Velocity Ultimate Masters, because that would be absolutely huge if they can. Of course, this was down to an impeding by the Formula One Academy France. So I definitely can see the Red Bull now heading out onto the racing circuit. So again, this would be another big push lap the minute he lets go of the pit limiter, and then we'll have to see how this all works out. So 10 minutes left. You'll probably do another push lap on this part, and then we'll work our way on towards the circuit. There we go, in toward the first corner. You then release that throttle and go absolutely bonkers. Or is he now starting to try and get some heat into the temperature to go and set a lap time here? We'll see what the attitude of the car looks like, because he's taking it quite easy in toward turn 3. Easy into 4, still making sure that battery is still pretty much flashing away. We're harvesting that energy, keeping it at 100%, and then he'll release it as he goes out of that final corner, because he's not fully pushing. You can see, you know, there's still some speed left in there. He should be at 8th gear by now, but still sitting at that slowly 7th gear. Up to 8 he goes. So I think he's now just trying to get to the line here. You can take a little bit of time here. Make sure it doesn't damage any of the tires as well. He'll put himself in towards turn number 9, what will be 11.
I've got a full time for you here, Adam, just for everyone out here. The lap time that Polly needs to set in order for BRC to qualify, I have it as a 1 minute 14.726. That's what he needs to set for BRC to qualify for the Ultimate Masters. Let's see what happens next. They'll now approach them, move towards turn number 1, and this is the critical lap here for Polly. He's gone a little bit earlier than we would have anticipated. He cuts turn 1 to absolute perfection, actually has Polly, which is obviously going to help him throughout the rest of this lap, all the way through into turn number 3. Then he'll want to chuck the car in, and you can see that familiar flick of the steering wheel. He wants to try and maximise that front end grip of that Red Bull. As he chucks the car through then the right-hander of 5, he'll want to try and get closer inside, go back to the outside, chuck the car through this right-hander, don't go out wide here. Bit more of a conservative approach on that occasion, as he'll now chuck the car through this right-hander. It's a straight, not straight really now, is this turn 8 now, as he then heads towards what should be turn 9, but isn't actually classified as turn 9. Make of that one what you will. Through to turn 9 then, and then into 10. He bottoms out slightly. He's very lucky to keep his lap there at turn 10. He's absolutely pin precise. Remember, 1:14.726 is what we're looking for here for Polly. Chucks the car through the right-hander, a little bit wide through that corner, might have lost him a little bit of time through then this final set of corners here, and then he'll chuck the car through the penultimate corner again, flicking the car in. You can see that's very characteristic of what we're expecting from these esports drivers. Here we go then, as they go down towards this straight. Remember, 7.26 is what we're looking for. 7.08 is what he sets. Now, if I've got my math right on this one here, I think That man has just gone and qualified his team. Has he qualified his team? No, he's missed out. He's missed out by 69 thousandths of a second in the end, so I got that one wrong. But I tell you what, ultimately an extremely close scenario here for the Bravo Racing Club. They've qualified 11th overall. I've just done the maths and I've confirmed it as 0.069 seconds he's missed out on in the end. BRC just missing out in the end. And again, still very much up for grabs and very provisional here. We've still got that discussion here about ASRT and whether that 14.674 still stands. And Michael and the steward says it will stand, but it's still very much open for grabs. That is the end then of the qualifiers as we know it so far. Bravo Racing Club have just missed out 69 thousandths of a second in the end, Adam.
Yeah, that's gonna be disappointment there. Oh, sorry, my my light is off as well. So let me put myself back into some brightness.
50p a meter, Adam. There we go. Lovely.
There we go. Yeah, that was super interesting. Of course, my first kind of introduction to the qualifiers for the Ultimate Masters, which is quite an experience in D. But yeah, really unfortunate there that. The Bravo Racing team could not qualify for the Ultimate Masters. That's going to be a little bit of a shame for them. You know, they really worked their socks off on that last bit, but he just couldn't quite get to the end. And of course, there will be a couple more moments before we finally get that confirmation. But you know, I think look at the positives and see that those teams towards the top. You know, you got your AMR, your VNT, your SCI, RSC, TF10 going to be returning for another season. You know, there's some really positive teams in here that look really exciting. So for definite, I'm really intrigued to see how that's going to all work out. I really do think there's going to be a lot to kind of take into consideration, and there's going to be a lot of research from our side as well. See who will potentially come out on top, because of course I wonder how balanced the teams are going to be, and will we have kind of a Red Bull situation in real life, if you know what I'm on about here. But you know, you want to be your team's equal as possible, so that will be such an intriguing part to this whole kind of whole series.
We're going to be wrapping this one up in just a few short moments, folks. We've obviously got our very provisional results now all done and dusted. I say very provisional because I think there will be some pushback about the ASRT Chiquita's lap time of a 14.674 done outside of the lobby. So, and I can see there's definitely quite a bit of conversation happening in there as well about the politics effectively of that particular lap. I will make something abundantly clear here now. The administrators are making it very clear these times that I'm about to read are very much provisional. We don't know for sure who the final qualifier is going to be, which is a little bit of a kick in the teeth considering this is the qualifying event, but it is what it is at the moment whilst the stewards make that decision about ASRT Chiquita. But this is as it stands so far. So AMR have qualified fastest. We know that one. The only team to get into the 28s, by the way, 28.967. They've absolutely killed it in this one. VNT Ventauri 29.171. They're second. SCI a third, 29.198. RSC a fourth. That's a great time from them of a 29.237. TF10 team a fifth, 29.265. Angry Sharks Racing Team are sixth overall with a 29.390. Again, big asterisk on that one at the moment while the stewards make that call. All Elite Racing Team are seventh with a 29.419. Tatum Race Tech are joint seventh with a 29.419. And then Future Racing Team are at the bottom of the pack with ninth place overall, 29.451. Beyond that, Alien Motorsport finished 10th overall with a 29.513. They missed out on qualifying by 62 thousandths of a second. Bravo Racing Club, as we said, 69 thousandths second behind on 29.520. EVR 29.527. IRT 29.571, VMV 29.690, and then F1AF in the end finishing with a 37.341. That is what we've got. But again, big asterisk on the situation with ASRT. We'll know more about that one. Of course, it'll be all published over on our X's. So give us a follow here at VelocityMT at VUM_F1 for all of the latest information on that one. But we will wrap it up there. As I said, very much provisional. Not unfortunately the way we're going to have to wrap this one up. We'll know more about this one later down the line. And of course, if we can take a quick look at our calendar, we'll know who our 10 drivers are going to be, our 10 teams are going to be when we wrap it all up, of course, on the 8th of January for round number 1 at Silverstone Reverse. We should be in for an absolute cracker. From myself, from Adam, and from the rest of the team here at Velocity Esports, thank you very much for watching the Ultimate Masters Qualifier, and we'll see you next year. Have a very lovely Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take care. Ta-da.